This car has definitely been put through its paces.
I think I done just got mad.
So we are in what is probably the most important Ferrari 550 Maranello in the world, and you could actually say the most important Ferrari 550/575 in the world, and that is because we are driving the actual car that was used for the iconic Bad Boys 2 movie. When you think of historic movies and you think of important, automotive scenes, you cannot create that history without thinking of this car. And when we first discovered this car, it was completely, let's say, it was a blank slate for us as historians. And I talk so many times about us not being a dealership. We are historians, we are a library, we are here to document undervalued cars, the underdog, these hidden gems. And this car tells such a great story because it was never documented truly the proper way as the car. And we really had to go down a massive rabbit hole with this car, dig through Ferrari factory records, talk to former Ferrari employees. And I've actually started talking to some art dealers and collectors, some other historians from museums, people that have, authors that have written historical books on how they document things and how they create provenance. You guys are gonna sort of take a behind the scenes look at how we document this car. I'm a big fan of your work. I told you, you've worked on movies in general that have inspired and impacted pop culture, and I always look at these things and these moments that we have to document them. So it's a big part of what we do. And I have to ask you, as a car guy, how did that actually start, and what got you into, I would say, stunts? And driving.
I started with Knight Rider, of all things, way back in the day. I drove kit and jump kit for 4 years.
You're kidding me. Wow. That is so cool, man. Okay. Yeah. And then so from being a stunt driver to then being and forgive me for the technical term, you're now a stunt director or stunt coordinator, or it seems like you're
you can use either term, stunt coordinator. Yeah.
Okay, so definitely Michael Bay. I'm a Ferrari nut, Lamborghini nut. So when I look back in, from the car point of view, there's I think on your hand you can say, maybe two hands, some of the most iconic movie scenes with cars, especially Italian cars, for me. And I've always told people, it's funny, before finding the car and before buying the car, which I think is all history. I always used to tell people, okay, that movie, Bad Boys 2, put the Ferrari 550 on the map. And really, I mean, most people say Ferrari 575, obviously, which we'll talk about.
That's what they thought it was.
But I think it's probably, in terms of cultural index, and impact, it's that movie. It's those scenes that you created. So how did that come about? Where was the original, where was the original idea to use that specific Ferrari or that model of Ferrari? And how was for you, I would love to know some of your involvement as your routine and things that you do and coordinate, because I think that's super also interesting for our followers and supporters.
Yeah. When I first got in on it, I think Michael had already been dealing with production and was really adamant. Every time we talked about it, he was adamant with producers, Barry Waldman and everything else, that he really wanted the Ferrari 575 in the movie. And the movie tried to get a hold of a 575. But at that point in time, that was the new model out and all of them had been pre-sold. So they kept working on it. And finally, they got a 575. He was put on the list and said that he would get a 575, they found a 575 that they could rent from a guy, a doctor, that he had exactly what he wanted, everything else that we could use until we got the 575. So the deal that he made with them that I was told was, I'm going to get the 550 as my stunt car, his personal 550.
Yep.
We're going to do all the stunts with it, do everything with it. The drive outs and everything else are going to be in the 575 with the actors in it and all that stuff. So they had to change the wheels on it and do a couple of mods to it, make it look like that. So there was a lot of talk about it, a lot of talking about changing to different cars, and Michael was adamant. I think it's because he wanted the 575 so bad. His deal was, once the movie's over, they get the 550, he gets the 575. He was so adamant. He said, he called me and Steve Paternian, who was another stunt coordinator on the show. And we sat down and he said, so you guys are using my 550 as a stunt car. It's my fucking 550. Because I don't want it crashed. I don't want this. I don't want that. He goes, who do you have driving it? And I said, well, we have Henry Kinsey coming in. And he knew Henry from other shows. And Henry's phenomenal in cars and everything else. And he says, okay, all right. So there's only two people I ever want driving that car. It's Henry Kinsey and me. And that's it. I mean, every time we did anything with it, he goes, you didn't scratch it, did you? You didn't scratch it, did you? Let me see. And he'd look at it, look around.
And it's funny. So I had heard this story, and Michael had gave an interview somewhere, and I don't remember what it was. And he talked about using his personal 550 for the chase scenes and the 575. And it's funny because then at some point somebody said, oh, no, there's always a 575. And then I'm watching the movie back and I realized like almost every major driving scene is the 550 because
it is. It's the only car we had. They wouldn't let us use the other one.
You guys did change the wheels. You put maybe sticker badges and I think you changed the headlights for certain scenes or something. But most of the scenes, ironically, and I was laughing, it's that famous front bumper of the 550, which is very different from a 575. So I was laughing. I was like, this whole movie's a 550. It's not a 575. Yeah. And how do you prepare? How does a stunt driver prepare? I mean, I watched there's some great behind the scenes footage, actually with you in it, on YouTube somewhere. It's some old behind the scenes footage. And I'm seeing all the preparation for that famous scene over the causeway, which is completely insane. I mean, the fact that you guys actually did that, it wasn't like a CGI thing, is insane. How do you actually prepare a driver for that in the car? Like, what is the background? I mean, it can't just be a one take.
No, lots of work went into that. Yeah. When Michael wanted to do that, we discussed it and how it would work and everything else. And what I asked for, I said, we need to test this. So the producer said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I need a car carrier. I need just some junk cars to throw off to see what happens and get parameters and distances and everything else. So we went to an air base in Florida, and I think we had 5 or 6 just junker cars. And we put them on top of what's called a car thrower. And it's a big platform with a ram on it with 2 air shocks. So we did a couple of runs, and we found out that they would hit and they would start to roll, but if they ever hit on the roof, they would just pancake and not do much. So our first day of testing, we learned a lot. What I had done is I took a big 1-inch rope and painted it different colors every 10 feet, and I tagged it to the back of the car carrier. So when videotaping, I could see exactly how far back they hit every time. So I knew how far in I could drive a car. It's not going to hit on top of you. As long as you're that distance, you can get a camera there, all that stuff. So then we roll caged them so they wouldn't collapse. And then we found out the certain positions to put them on there to really get them to go, and the air pressures so they could hit on their side and start flipping. So we learned all that in the week that we rehearsed. A lot easier than working at Talladega Speedway. You even put a scratch in it, it's like $80,000.
Oh my God! I saw you did Talladega Nights, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. What a
fun.
classic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But we did all this for a week. We could drive around. We knew the distances. I could get stunt guys in with I think I roll caged 70 cars on that show.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause he said, I want the truck taking cars out. I want these cars dropping in front of cars. They're hitting each other. Da, da, da. And that's why, and we totaled every one of them. Every one. Then we got into talking to Michael about what his ideas were for filming it. And he wanted to be up close and personal. And I went, you can't put a camera truck there. I mean, it's a car rolling. So he's the one that came up with the Bay Bomber. He said, well, let's just put a fucking cage around it on the outside of it. I'm like, that's a good idea. And they made pockets on each front corner and each back corner that you could fit a camera in with lens. So it was protected. We didn't have it made before testing, but we all knew, all right, this is probably going to work.
It should work.
And Steve Percherny drove that and did a great job. He wasn't afraid of driving it in and getting hit. And so we knew exactly where they're going to fall. That's how we got the shots of the cars hitting right in front. And it seemed like on the bridge, I don't know if it was because the compression on the bridge, whenever they hit, they would get a bounce, which was really pretty.
Wow.
And Michael saw that and told Steve, hey, this time, I know you're up close and tight and it looks great, but this time try to time it, hang a little bit back, because when it if you can get a bounce up like that, that's where I want to put a CGI Ferrari going under it. And you see it in the film.
Wow.
But
yes.
he had it in his head.
Yes.
That's what he wanted.
Wow. Man, imagine all the moving pieces. The fact that 70 cars is insane. You'd never think, you don't think about it, when you're watching a movie like that or anything like that. That's insane. So question, how often, and I'm sure this is an easy answer for you, but I'm assuming then, the car was not driven by Will Smith or Martin Lawrence.
No, not for those shots. I think Will did a 180.
Okay.
Pretty good, high speed 180. Came in, locked it up.
No way. Man, it sounds like, honestly, that this is a dream job for you.
Absolutely.
And you're just a big kid having fun.
People, my career isn't normal. Normally, a guy goes from stunt guy to stunt coordinator to second unit director to producer or first unit director. And I've been a stunt coordinator for 40-something years. And so with me, I've never worked a day in my life. That's what I want to do. I want to go and play. And that's what I get to do.
I feel the same. Same. I'm not going to lie. Doing, honestly, things like this, I mean, it makes my day. It makes my month. To me, it's like Indiana Jones a little bit. So
you learn a little bit more here and there, and opens up more doors. Yeah. Hey, that 550.
Yes.
Is it still silver?
It's still silver. It definitely has paint work. So I don't know. It's still silver on the dark blue.
We had a clear coat wrap on it.
No way.
Yeah, that was one of before real wraps were done.
Really?
Because I don't know if you remember the movie where when he gets blown off the door and falls. And all the glass breaks. Well, his 550 is parked right there. And so we did the shot, and he came over there, and he didn't care about the stunt guy that went off the building and everything else. He went straight to his car and looked at it and just started screaming, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" Because it had all these little white marks in it from the glass. And the guy that wrapped it's there, of course. And he said, "You told me this wouldn't damage my car." Blah, 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 blah. He goes, wait. And he takes a piece and he peels it back. He goes, "Oh, thank God." And it saved the car. I mean, it wasn't anything heavy, but the little shard of glass hitting it would have pinged it, and it would have been bad.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. I told you about when he drove it in the shot, didn't I?
No. Oh, I don't know this.
Oh,
No.
Yeah. We had to do pickup shots. Michael wanted pickup shots on the bridge, but we already had our time on the bridge, so we couldn't get it again. and he felt like he needed more of the Ferrari catching up to the truck, weaving through traffic at speed.
Okay.
So we went out to the airbase, and I have Henry coming in. They have all the stunt guys lined up in a weave pattern, and they had already painted the runway, and they'll do a little CGI to it and everything to make it look like the bridge. And all the stunt people show up, and it's like 6 a.m. But Henry, I have no Henry. He overslept, and it's about 35, 40 minutes to get there. And I went, oh, God. All right, now what are we going to do? We just wanted to get this ready for you so that when you came and then Henry showed up, we're not wasting time. Well, I have nobody fucking drives my car. So as he's yelling, I went, hey, Michael, why don't you drive the car? And he goes, what? I went, it's your car. You know how it works. You probably drive it better than any of us. He says, all right, roll cameras. And he did one. I said, do you feel comfortable going faster? He goes, yeah. Well, go through as fast as you feel comfortable. And he went, rocketing through.
Oh, that's so cool.
Big grin on his face. That's the first full day that he never yelled after the first part of the day.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Man, this has been incredible. Thank you again. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Please come to Miami.
Okay. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, we have to keep in touch and really, your words and your stories have been amazing. So thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Of course, man. All right. Take care, brother. Have a great one.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye. So the most interesting part of this car, I would say, is the confusion around its history. And it's funny, the whole goal of what we do is to build provenance around something. And the reality is that something like this, and I've gone through the movie now numerous times, and the major questions were, was the car a 575 or a 550 Maranello? Now, if you watch a lot of the scenes, you'll see 575 wheels on most of the cars. But then, when you start to pause certain scenes, you realize that there's a car that actually uses 550 wheels, has a 550 front bumper, but someone has added shields. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. This scene here, boom, 550 wheels, 550 front bumper, 550 wheels. Now, if you go into later scenes, you will see 575 wheels and 575 headlights. Well, the reason for that is we learned the Michael Bay car, obviously, was basically used for all of the chase and driving scenes. That's the 550. And what they actually did was they changed the wheels, they changed the headlights, and they put on these fake little badge stickers. Now, what they didn't do, and I caught by pure accident, was they did not change the bumper. So we were able to study this and then back it up by Andy Gill, the stunt director, all of the sort of deductive reasoning that we came from watching this over and over and over. So it's really beautiful. We're able to put this together, confirm that yes, the Michael Bay car was the 550 used in all the chase scenes, all these crazy driving scenes. What we also learned is that, and which is very cool, is that some of those scenes were driven by both Will Smith and Michael Bay himself. So super, super cool and incredible to be able to solve this mystery, solve all of this history, and truly present this car to the world the way it should be. And I think what's so cool is now that we've been able to do all this, we had the opportunity to reach out to Cavallino magazine. I'm a massive fan of them as a historical index for Ferraris, and they're actually putting together a story on the car, doing a photo shoot, which will be super important for the car's provenance and history. So the more of these things we can do to help document this part of history while people are still around is truly an honor, and I think it's a massive responsibility.